What's up, y'all? This is Paul from Between the Buried and Me, and you're watching Metal on Loud.
Thanks for joining the podcast, man.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here.
How are things in your world?
Pretty good right now. I'm a little nervous. We're supposed to leave for tour in like a week, and there's like a spike in coronavirus cases right now. So we're hoping for the best, hoping not for another lockdown. But so fingers crossed.
Yeah, I've been interviewing a lot of bands lately, and they all face the same problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. So, we're just going to try to stay positive and hope for the best.
That's the only thing you can really do. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah. We've been doing it for like 15 months now. So.
Well, you already had to postpone another tour, right?
Yeah. This tour, actually, we were supposed to do this tour in May of 2020. And of course, that's right around when everything kind of went crazy. So we're finally doing it, hopefully a year and a half later almost.
20th anniversary tour. That's a terrible thing to blow off, man.
I know, man. We got to do it. So it's just 21 years now instead of 20.
Well, add an extra to it. No problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So new album, Colors 2. Why the 2?
Well, we thought that we found ourselves feeling kind of in a similar headspace before we started writing this album that we felt in 2007 when we wrote the first Colors. We just felt like we needed to probably write the best album of our careers and really kind of push ourselves. We had that same feeling of desperation in 2007. We felt like we really had to do something special. And now, all these years later, 14 years later, we're getting older, and we just felt like, hey, if we're going to keep doing this for a long time, we really need to do something that people are going to remember. And it just seemed appropriate to call it Colors 2 because it was like we felt the same way we did back then. So it just seemed appropriate. And also it gave us the opportunity to do some kind of go back and listen to Colors 1 and maybe pick up on a couple little musical nuggets that we could call back and reference on the second one. So that was kind of fun to do. And I think some of the fans will pick up on some of that stuff. So
I spent a lot of time this week trying to compare the two albums. And one of the realizations I had is that they're really different albums.
They are. I agree with you. I agree. I think I think people can listen to it a couple different ways. I mean, on the one hand, it's just a new Between the Buried and Me album. We weren't going to rewrite Colors. We're 14 years older. We have a new, we're going to write a new album with new songs, and we sound a little different, and our style is a little different from back then. But I think people maybe will like the big picture. Maybe there's a lot, there are some similarities there. It's a very dynamic album. It's super proggy, but there's also a lot of heavy moments. There's a lot of kind of more atmospheric, softer moments as well. And so I think in a lot of ways, the dynamics of the album are very similar to Colors 1, but the actual material for the most part is new. It's just new music from Between the Buried and Me. We just kind of used Colors 1 as kind of a template to work from. And again, just kind of a source of inspiration. And we did, like I said, there's a couple moments in there where we did kind of try to reference some musical phrases or motifs, I guess, from Colors 1. But you're right. I agree with you. It's a new album. If people think they're going to hear Colors again, I mean, just go back and listen to Colors. This is a new album. It just for us as creative, as musicians, for us, it very much feels like the sequel to Colors, but it doesn't have to feel like that to the listener. It can just be a new experience. That's
it's
totally fine.
A load reload situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that wasn't the intent. You know, it was much more abstract than that, you know.
Yeah. The further you get along in your careers, the more your own sounds seems to evolve, the more little nuggets of different styles you pick up and put into your music. I think that was really strong in this effort as well, in the Colors 2 album.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's a couple things that are, you know, to speak to that. I mean, first of all 5 of us write music. So we're not one of those bands where like one guy writes all the songs. So like every album kind of sounds the same. And, you know, that person has their own style, and that's just kind of what everything sounds like. All 5 of us, you know, create music and bring ideas to the table. So every time we write an album, you know, you got 5 different people who've been listening to music and doing their own thing for 2 years or whatever the case may be. And so then they bring all those ideas in, and we start putting it together. And before you know it, it sounds like Between the Buried and Me. It sounds like the next evolution of Between the Buried and Me. So this album is no different. You know, we really, everybody chipped in, you know, and we all just listen to so much music and have such a wide spectrum of influences, from classical to jazz to classic rock to metal to, you know, everything in between, you know, like it all finds its way into our formula somehow. And, you know, some people probably think it's sounds a little disjointed or whatever, but that's just our style. And I think we have gotten better at making it work in the context of like a song or an album. It sounds a little less schizophrenic, you know. It sounds a little bit more like it sounds a little more intentional, and it sounds a little bit like we know what we're doing sometimes, which is may or may not be true. I don't know. I don't want to give it away, but it sounds like we know what we're doing.
I was pleasantly surprised when I heard the first single, where it goes from standard metalcore to Jackson 5 to Oktoberfest to Dragon Force back to metalcore.
I love that you said Oktoberfest. That's funny. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, that song's a prime example. Like the first half of that song, where it's got the like gospel kind of sounding organ and just very simple, you know, guitar chord progression and the bass solo. And that section, Blake, our drummer, actually wrote that all the way through the drum solo section. Like that was his idea. He was like, I want to have this kind of like gospel sounding, like if gospel met metal, you know, like that's kind of what I wanted to sound like. And then I want to have the drum solo section. And then he was like, hey, Paul, I need you to write some like power metal stuff. And I was like, all right, you know, and so I just wrote that, you know, the whole power metal part through to the end of the song. And then once we recorded it, it was like, well, man, we got to put some banjo on this thing and some mandolin, you know, and maybe that's where you get the Oktoberfest, like Renaissance Fair vibe. But yeah, you know, that's just how songs take shape in BT band world. You know, somebody has a very simple idea, and then from there it just balloons into this grandiose spectacle. So, but you know, I don't know if you've heard the whole album, but that song is very different than anything else on the record. It's not, you know, everything doesn't sound like Fix the Error, but it is an important part of the album, I think. Mm-hmm. And it also is kind of a good example of how we write music. We're just all bouncing ideas off of each other, and it just ends up being what it is.
One of the things that really struck me when I listened to this album, but when I listened to all your work, is how much thought there must go into a song, because they are so layered and so complex, so nuanced.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, a lot of people maybe would be surprised to hear that we actually edit the songs down quite a bit. You know, this album probably would have been 2 hours long if we didn't trim some parts and, like, you know, and we have gotten a little bit more judicious and deliberative about how we structure our songs now. We do try to make them a little more organized structurally. So yeah, we actually do quite a bit of like downsizing. So there's usually even more in there than you hear. So yeah, it does require a lot of thought. And it requires just as much subtraction as it does addition, believe it or not. So that's kind of maybe something that has changed over the years. As when we were younger, we just wanted to add more parts, and now it's kind of the opposite, even though it's still an almost 80-minute long album, to me, it sounds almost simpler. The musically, it's a little more simple than some of our older stuff, even. So, yeah. But as you said, it's a lot of layers, and we really do focus on that a lot. Making the parts more melodically and harmonically dense, adding some instrumentation that maybe is a little bit non-traditional in metal, and all that really kind of helps for make it sound big and harmonically dense. I think that's important, and that's actually more important than structural density. It's not about the quantity of riffs, it's about the quality of riffs and how the parts are orchestrated. That's what ultimately stands the test of time, in my opinion.
I'm really wondering how you're going to pull this off live, because some of these songs, they're all over the place.
We don't think about that until this time. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Some of them will be easier than others, but yeah, like Human as Hell, that's going to be a tough song to pull off live. But man, honestly, like we've got older songs. There's songs off of Silent Circus or Alaska that are honestly harder to play than the newer material. The newer material, it's more about like trying to figure out how to make, because like you said, it's going to be hard to make it sound good live, because in the studio you have the benefit of being able to stack multiple guitar parts and harmonies and have orchestral sound, string instruments and stuff like that we can't really duplicate live. So you can sample some of that stuff, but like how do you translate it to a live setting and not overdo it, not try to like sample every single part, and all this stuff. So that is a challenge to get it to like sound good, but also still have the energy of a live, sound like a live band. It is challenging, but as far as technicality, like actual playing on guitar, honestly, man, the older songs are harder for me because I just can't play that fast anymore. I'm like old, my hands just don't want to do it anymore, So,
well, we all fall apart one day at a time.
Yeah, the fastest part of the record is probably like the sweeps and Fix the Air. That's like as fast as I can play those arpeggios. So that'll be tough live. I mean, it'll probably sound terrible, but I'm going to try. It's fast for a 42-year-old man. That's when I was in my 20s, it wouldn't have been a problem, but now it is hard to play that stuff.
I'm really looking forward to hearing this stuff live, man.
Yeah, man. We look forward to playing it. We really do.
I saw you have a bunch of dates planned in August and September.
We do, yeah. Fingers crossed that everything works out, yeah. In the U.S.
Any plans beyond that, or are you just being careful right now?
Well, we're being careful right now. I mean, we do have plans beyond that. We really, we're already putting the ball in motion to plan out the next touring cycle. So, which obviously includes Europe and some more U.S. and Canada, obviously, but. It's hard to really get too far ahead right now with the way things are. You kind of just have to take it one step at a time. But we are kind of planning things as though life will be somewhat normal in the next 6-8 months or whatever. So we hope for the best, but yeah, here we are hoping. So, we definitely we feel like we wrote, our best album and we want to tour on it. As you know, I mean, that's our bread and butter. Like, we don't make a living without playing shows. Bands like us, it's not like we can, pay our bills with Spotify revenue. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen. So those fractions of a penny don't really add up very fast. So, we need to be on the road and we need to play. Oh, wow, there's a deer just walking in front of my window. Beautiful buck with antlers. I mean, we want to play shows. I mean, we have to play shows. That's how, like I said, that's how we make a living. And, but it's out of our control. We just have to kind of wait and see what happens. But we're hopeful. We're hopeful that things will be good. I'm happy to see that, things in Europe are starting to maybe feel a little bit more normal. I assume.
Here in Holland, they rolled back a lot of the restrictions relief. Every show that isn't seated is now banned.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I fear that may happen in America as well. And, I mean, we're a country that has, everybody could have the vaccine if they wanted, but half the population doesn't want to get it. So, that's, I fear the same thing may happen. And it may happen while we're on tour. I don't know. But I'm hopeful that, things are moving in the right direction. And, cause we'd love to get over there, man. I mean, Europe is, we love going there. Holland in particular. I mean, that's one of our favorite places to play. So it's hard to imagine, not going there for the foreseeable future. So we really hope that, things are moving in the right direction. Just, maybe there'll be a couple have to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and then hopefully, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens, but I'm sure it's very frustrating. It's frustrating here as well. And we'll just have to wait and see.
Are there any more singles coming out soon? Do you have any more video plans, stuff like that?
We actually have a single coming out. Technically it'll be tonight. For you guys, it'll be tomorrow, but around midnight tonight, we're going to release one more song. So that will be cool. It's one of my, it's the song, it's called Revolution in Limbo. It's the song, right before Fix the Error on the album. So we're going to release that and also announce some repressings for the vinyl and stuff like that. So, we're excited about that. Try not to leak that out to the American public for the next few hours, please.
I won't.
Supposed to be a surprise
until a few days, so no problem.
Yeah. so we are going to release that song, and hopefully we'll see if it has anything near the feedback that Fix the Error had. I'll be super happy with that. We were incredibly, grateful for the response to the first single. So we hope this one gets similar feedback. And then, that's about it. Then the album will come out while we're on tour. So, that's kind of what's going on.
Awesome. Do you have any words for your fans out there, for the listeners to watchers of Metal or Loud?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I hope everybody's safe and as happy as they can be considering the circumstances. I myself, I feel super lucky to have gotten through this, the worst part of this, in one piece. And I feel also very lucky that I didn't lose anyone's, very super close to me. Although I know some people who lost parents and grandparents to the virus. And so again, I feel very lucky that I'm still here and I'm, doing okay. But man, we just can't wait to get back out there and play in front of people in every country on the globe, really. But I guess specific to this interview, we can't wait to get over to Europe and play. And we want to thank everybody for all the support. It's hard to get through a year like this, but we've been able to do it because of our wonderful, fans. And it's very humbling to know that there's people out there that love what we do. And, so I'm just very thankful and very excited to get back out there.
Well, we love having you on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the road somewhere, preferably a nice sunny festival somewhere backstage.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Wonderful. We can't wait, man. Thank you so much for the interview, and I hope you like the album. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Metal all out.
All right.